Well, welcome to another episode Out of the Blank podcast. And usually I break the law, but I'm actually here with the law.
Yeah, what's up?
Dude, that was, come on, for spot on, bringing somebody in, that was a great intro.
That's not bad. I usually get this will be before I'm gonna say this a lot probably during this interview based on the beautiful baby faceness of your face.
That's why I keep the chin here.
But this is way before your time, but it's way before my time too. But there was a song, I fought the law and the law won.
I fought the law and the law won. And then people morph it into I fought my lawn and the lawn won. And I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense.
I missed the lawn one, but I have heard the I fought the law like my whole life. People will be like, hey, if I fight you, will you win? And I was like, oh, this is such a good way to start a conversation.
You got a name of a person from like the Western era. Like that could easily be like, he's the law, like he's laying down the law. There's so many puns. Is that your actor name or is that your real name?
No, it's my name, man. My great grandfather's name was Legge in Italian, and that translates to law. So I have the translation of his name, but it's my real name.
That's how people got to name their kids nowadays. Is just name them something badass where you know that if a bear breaks into that kid's school, everybody's turning to that kid to save their life.
Yeah, my kid's name is Max. So it's like somewhere in the middle. Like, it's like it's still a badass name, but at least it's a normal name. Like he doesn't have to spell it for people. Like whenever I meet people, they're like, I'll say my name is Law. And they're like, L-A-W? I'm like, yeah. I like when some people ask me, how do you spell it? I go, how do you spell it? But it's fun, man. Listen, it's always gotten me a little bit of weird attention.
I think that's a good type of attention. It just sounds badass. That's the thing. I mean, if you have a kid named Beowulf and people are like, holy shit, like, don't mess with that guy.
Yeah, Beowulf. That's great. I knew a guy in grad school. I knew a guy named Wolf. That was his first name. People have lots of cool names out there when you I think also people get a chance to kind of reinvent themselves. That's kind of my thing too.
I work at a gym and you have to type in somebody's last name and then their first name to check them into our computer system. And a guy just comes in and he is from the Middle East. So he just like, do you have a piece of paper? I'm like, what? Because he keeps saying it. And you can't hear over the mask.
Right.
So I'm like, what are you saying? Is that an A? Is that a B? What are you saying? And he just writes it down. It's like a 50-letter thing where I look at the piece of paper. I'm like, I'm not typing that in. I'm like, you're good to go, man. I don't even care if you work out here or not. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, my last name is Tarello. And so a lot of times when people see my name on paper, they think my first name is my last name and my last name is my first name. Like whenever I don't know why Tarello looks like more of a, I think because Terrell, probably that's a popular first name these days. So people will look at my name and be like, Mr. Tarello Law. And I'm like, yeah, let's whatever.
Well, most people are like Tim or something like that. And they're like, but that's not your real name. That would be Timothy, would be an abbreviation of your name. But you're like, it's Law. It's like, oh, let's call you La. It's like, you can't, it's already abbreviated, bro. You can't just cut it down even shorter.
That was my nickname when I was little, though. My nickname was Lala. It's one of my favorites.
Is that just because what you used to say all the time is Lala?
No, I think people said it before I even talked. It was just people always inherently want to make your name shorter. I don't know what that is. I have a 3-letter name. People are like, how can we shorten this?
Just L.
Yeah, just that's it.
Well, Law, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, man?
Whoa, yeah, hell yeah, dude. I'm on a lot of drugs. No, that's not where we're going here today.
I sell perk on the side.
No, man, I'm an actor and as of very recently a director. But yeah, I do like TV stuff. I was on a few episodes of Chicago P.D, which is very funny, seeing as my first name is Law. I played a very corrupt correction officer on that show, which was lots of fun because there was a very popular character on that show who died at the end of season 5. This is a spoiler alert, by the way. If you're just getting into Chicago PD and you're heading into season 5, you don't want to cut away from this. Go watch that whole season. It's 22 episodes. Come back. You'll be back in about 2 weeks. But yeah, man, I've done some TV acting. I was on Broadway and stuff. I've been an actor my whole life, dude. I did my first professional play when I was 7 years old. So it's weird because, I'm not famous, but I'm a professional performer. This is what I do, and no one knows me, and that's great. I'm okay with that. But this is all I do. I'm not like on the side. I'm not a manager at Target or something like that. This is my job. I'm an actor. I write stuff. The closest thing I have to a day type job is I'm a faculty member at Second City. the kind of famous comedy acting school in Chicago.
I've talked to a few people from there. I'll give him a
Yeah,
shout out, Kevin Rayom. He's a comedy improv instructor there, and then a few
nice.
comedians, Jason Avocado, they call him. But
Word.
it's interesting because that's something I've always wanted to do is be an actor or just be. But I was always afraid of getting in front of like on stage in front of hundreds and hundreds of people, whatever you want to say, in
Yeah.
front of my school. But then once I got older, I was like, why am I giving a shit about what this person is going to think of me if I go on stage and have the balls to do something?
Yeah, man. And then on top of that, if you let yourself really get wrapped up in it, especially for stage play stuff, it's you're not even, the audience isn't even there. You're just like right there with your scene partners doing crazy shit in your character, and they go away. You know what I mean? Like the Broadway show I was in, we had to interact with the audience a little bit, so you couldn't completely ignore them. But it was still lots of fun. So like you were still your character. You're not you. Like if I was up there thinking about what I had to do and say, that would be a problem. But as long as I have a character that I'm working on or doing stuff with, then that's great, man. So yeah, I would recommend that for anybody that has that same inner voice of judgment. That's like, oh, I can't do this. I don't want people to judge me or think, I think that it's not you up there. Don't think about and even so much so to the point where like I had I probably had one night going on stage in 2005. I had like 101 fever. I was sick as hell. And literally the second I turned the corner to go on stage, it was gone for an hour and 27 minutes, whatever the length of the show was.
That's
And
that's
that was
literally
it.
like how anytime I was about to go up in front of the class, do a speech or something, it was always this massive urge to take a shit. But then I was just like, it would just go away once I started in it. And it's that nervous or anxiety feeling or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
look, I tried pooping before going out there and doing it, but it's like a nonstop like black hole where it's just like, where is it all fucking coming from?
Yeah, dude. I before I go on stage, actually before I do pretty much anything that matters to me, I have this really weird nervous reaction where I start gagging. So like when I was backstage before I went on my for my Broadway debut, I was like hocking up loogies. It was gross. And my stage manager just walked over with a bucket. She goes, "Hey man, if you need this, here you go." Because it looked like I was going to throw up probably to her, but I was okay. I mean, I'm not going to, it's just like a nervous energy. And then it just got to get it out. So it's just like a lot of coughing and kvetching, like a lot of old school, like, and then as soon as, like I said, as soon as I kind of make the transfer from being whoever the hell I am in my mind to whoever the character is, it all goes away. And then you're just that,
I think
which
that's
is
like the
pretty fun.
downfall for every single person is the fact you build it up so bad in your mind that it's actually going to be way worse than it actually is. Like so many times,
Totally.
like, or someone's like, come on, we got to do this right now. And you're getting like thrust into it. It's like you just start acting, or you just start literally going and you don't have time to even think twice about it to where like you're already doing it. You're like, holy crap, I'm on stage right now performing. And I didn't even think twice.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's why. So I was a member of the Upright Citizens Brigade in New York City. I was a student there and did a bunch of shows. It's called UCB to a bunch of people. But that's their whole slogan is don't think, because people get trapped in their heads. And as improvisers, it's the worst place we can be is trying to figure out what good we should be doing or what's funny or what the audience wants, because then you're not doing anything. You're just up there like frozen, like a lunatic. So yeah, that's pretty much that's how improv works for me. It's how acting works for me. But I've been lucky, dude. Like I said, I've first of all, I have a family that supports me, like not financially, but but like my wife and I've been married 16 years. Just a few days ago, October 9th was our
Happy
anniversary.
anniversary.
Thanks, man. That's like a miracle for someone like me, because between being an artist and I'm bipolar, and I'm real open about that too. Like, I'm not bipolar like in a cute way. Like, I'm legit bipolar. So between all of those things that happen in a person's
Hold
life,
on. You said bipolar in a cute way. I'm like, I have bipolar people in my family. It's not fucking cute
no,
ever.
but I mean, like, people use that phrase to mean like I'm bipolar because like some days I'm happy and then some days I'm like so not happy.
One
So
day you got me a Reese's cup and I really wanted a Hershey's peanut butter swirl.
one morning I woke up and I was like, I don't even want to wake up. So like I hear people use bipolar in that way, and and for someone who actually is a card carrying member of that mental health community, I'm just like, no, that's not me. It's not adorable. Like going on a manic binge or being clinically depressed for months. It's like when you stitch yourself into your sofa and you can't tell the difference between you and a pillow. Like those are not those aren't fun things for people. But but I'm real open about it, because I also want people to at least say like, oh, there's a dude who's like, I deal with my mental health maintenance. I work on it consistently, but I have some success. I'm not a I'm not a drag on society. I do what I got to do, and
Well,
I
it
keep
gives hope to
working.
people out there. Like, how many times do you see people talk about like an Asian comedian, such as like Ken Jeong, goes up on stage and starts talking about the fact of like he's happy that kids can look forward to be like, hey, he's Asian and he did this. Like
Hell
that's
yeah, it's representation, man. It's
everybody's all
huge.
looking for that. And then I think that goes even down to even subcategories, like the guy who has one eye, like he's on stage with one eye. Like that's
Yeah,
a thing for somebody out there. It might be a small, minuscule amount, but it's that type of thing. Like people are looking to see that first of all, if it's possible. But
right.
I mean, I get it, but I feel like it's so crazy. Like everybody wants to be famous, and I really like what you said on the factor of like you said you weren't famous or anything, even though like
No,
it that
what a,
but that's what everybody's chasing after. I mean, when I
it's
was a
weird.
kid, and even that whole ride to fame is like I want to do that, and then I think recently everyone started realizing how shitty being famous was. The fact of
Yeah.
everybody's trying to cancel you for everything you've ever said.
Yo, listen, one of my really good buddies is are you a fan of either The Walking Dead or the Fantastic Beast movies? Not even a fan, like do you know them?
I know The Walking Dead, yeah.
Cool. So my buddy Dan Fogler is one of the actors on that show, and he also plays Jacob Kowalski in the Fantastic Beast movies. He looks like a he used to be more heavy set. Like he lost a lot of weight. He did that Hollywood thing where he trimmed down a whole bunch. But he and I are real similar types, and we're good buddies. We came up in improv together. He was in Chicago last year before, of course, the epidemic before the pandemic. But he was at one of the he does a lot of those Comic-Con type things,
Yeah.
like because of the shows that he's a part of. I mean, those have huge followings, huge like nerd based followings like me, because I'm a Star Wars nerd and all this other stuff. So like he told me, yo, let's meet up, let's hang out together. So I was just hanging out with him, walking through the convention floor and stuff. And I got to be honest, man. I mean, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm kind of old school in lots of ways. I'm in my mid 40s, but like people would. It's one thing I think when an actor, you want an actor's time, right? And you want to be like, hey, like, can I get a picture, whatever. That's totally awesome. And he wouldn't be making the money he's making or have the creative freedom that he has if people didn't love him, right?
Yeah.
But some people were nuts. Some people like grabbed him by the shoulder and then like he would kind of react. And listen, walking with me is a different story because like I grew up in a neighborhood where if someone grabs you by the shoulder, either they want to fight you or they're trying to mug you. So like I would like move them away from him, almost like security in a weird way. And he was like, nah, it's okay, man. People are like that. But then within a few moments, stuff got hairy. Like people were nuts. So yeah, man, I'm okay right now with the fact that I get a chance to do what I do professionally. There's always that weird possibility in this country where you get a little more notoriety for what you do and you lose a little bit of your privacy, but whatever, that's got to come with it. But it did freak me out walking around the convention floor with him and watching people just grab him like, yo, and I'm talking full grown dudes, not
Yeah.
like little kids or, there's like I'm saying, there's levels of this. When I was on Broadway, you'd come out and people want your signature from seeing the show that night. You got to sign like 150, 200 programs, and that's adorable and it's fun. No big deal. It's like we understand that that's part of the pageantry of the whole thing. But walking around like just a convention floor and having people like manhandle you, and he was great with it. And I just realized like I'm not ready for that yet. Like if I was thrust into that, if I got a recurring role on a show where people felt like they owned part of me just because they're a fan of the show, it would take me a while to adjust to that, I think.
Imagine being Kim Kardashian famous and some person breaks into your house, holds you at gunpoint, and then steals your jewelry.
Yeah, no, see, that would end differently for me. that story in the news would be the next day would be like, if I was Kim, it'd be like Kim Kardashian's in prison for murdering someone with their bare hands. Like
That's why I get like when I hear like if I reach out to like a famous person and I don't hear a response back or something, which is like if I'm reaching out to Joe Rogan or if I'm reaching out to someone that be like, has a huge giant ass following, I'm just like, I'm not even worried or upset that I'm not going to take this personally because I know there's
right.
some person out there that probably reached out, took it personally, and then that's the reason why they fucked it up for everybody.
Totally, yeah. Yes, I mean, I don't. I think there's a way in this country to be a professional, especially in the world of performance, and not have to worry about fame or any of that stuff. I mean, that's what our movie's about a little bit. We made this movie called Fatal Influence, which is about people kind of trying to boost their social media currency by treating other people like crap on camera. It's a very specific niche of the world of social media. Like I bumped into it for a while this summer. I just noticed a lot of people, and of course, it kind of, our president, you can say he does that occasionally too. Whatever
Trump does
political
that
side you're on,
24/7.
right? Whatever you think about politics, like that's the thing, is like make someone else look like crap, and it makes you look better.
Yeah.
And that like is a real different way of thinking than we grew up with. I remember one of my grade school teachers had a poster on the wall that said, "You do not have to blow out somebody else's candle to make yours burn brighter." And that was like,
Damn.
and that was like
That's a poster.
it was like a poster with a candle, like one of those things they sell at like the like library sales. But it was a poster that I remember, and I was maybe third grade, and it stuck with me. It's like, I don't have to, dim somebody else's flame to be brighter. But that's not what the deal is right now. Right now, it's like, yo, smash somebody's candle and videotape it and put it on, put it on the internet, and then you'll be more famous. And that's what I think. That's what people are doing to each other.
This is a thing I've been noticing with media when it comes to the fact of, like, back in the day, people used to commit like giant like terrorist acts or something just to get their name published in the news. And then the news stopped publishing their names for the reason of that's giving glory to the terrorists. So then it was like all these
Right.
unknown killers. I was wondering, I was like, with everything going on in the media, sometimes you see a video and people are like, that might not be the full video. That might be just a part of it. It might be taken out of context. It might be
Sure.
morphed in a way. And I'm like, but that's everybody's way of getting famous now, is going out on the street and then picking a fight with somebody. And then the next thing you know, it's like, is it better to be loved by people, or is it better to be hated by people? Because hate's going to get you farther than love will. Love is
Right.
like, I like him, but he did this and I don't like him anymore. Hate's like, that's why we hate him, is because he's this. And then they're still going to follow you. They're still going to, like, how many messages does Trump probably get a day, or tweets a day, of just people hating what he's doing? And I'm like, you're just letting him go. Let him. He found his niche. He doesn't actually think this way.
Yeah, right before we went into development on this movie, I was in a grocery store here in Chicago, right? And there was this, I watched it happen. Like, I watched the whole thing take place. So this dude walked in right past me, probably like in his maybe like late 60s, early 70s, right? And he didn't have a mask on. And it's, we're in one of those cities where that's mandated. You're like, you can't go into public places without masks, right? So he walks past me, gets a cart, and he starts like shuffling through the store. Kind of a heavy set dude. He had like some, clearly some physical limitations and stuff like that. He gets about an aisle away from me, and I see security all like bundle up together. Security is maybe like folks like your age. And I'm going to be nice and say, I think you look like you're in your early 20s, but I think you look like you're 7. But
I am in my early 20s, but that's why I keep chin hair. I keep telling people.
My son is 9, and I was like, seriously, if you had no facial hair right now and you were dead quiet, you could be one of his buddies on the computer right now. Anyway, so all security starts gathering around together, and I hear them on the radios, and they're figuring out they got to approach this dude and get him to wear a mask, right? So they start walking up to him and they start giving him the company line. Sir, we're going to need you to do this. This is the rule for the store. And he felt like surrounded, and I could see it. And I was like probably a good like store length away, but I was approaching slowly and I could hear what was happening. And I saw the whole thing kind of as it was unfolding, right? So I get over to the area, and this guy, one of the security guys, goes and puts, again, it's a big thing for me. And I didn't realize there was going to be a theme in our conversation, but someone went to put their hand on him. He said, you're going to have to go and he like reared back. Because again, I think that's a cultural thing, or it's a generational thing. Like, you don't put your hands on people. Like, it's a weird thing. I just don't think it's something you should just automatically do.
Well, that's what what karate schools taught us: self-defense. Somebody puts their hands on you, you start immediately reacting.
You put your guard up.
Yeah.
Get that guard up, right? So this dude reared back a little bit, and he started saying, I'm not leaving the store. And he goes, and then they're like, well, you can buy one of the masks we have. And he's like, I'm on a fixed income. And he starts like really raising his voice. Security is trying to keep it down, but he's elevating. Somebody's
going to get shot. I'm with you.
Right. And so as I'm approaching, I see 3 people about my age, not even like young kids or something like that, but they all take their phones out and they all start taping, because they're hoping that this dude, will be on the news that night. This guy's going to be the meltdown that gets them their little boost. And I got within a few feet of him, and I listen, I'm I'm a normal kid, but I'm also like the son of my dad was a New York City firefighter and stuff. So like whenever there's like situations like that, if there's something going wrong, I usually am somewhere near the center of it, because I want to try to be helpful. So I go, excuse me, sir, I'm sorry to interrupt. And I really have a big voice, and I leveled the crowd. Like, I could hear everyone arguing, and I just went right over them, like use that Broadway project to the back of the room voice, And I said, can I just be helpful? And I reach in my bag. I go, sir, I have an unused disposable mask right here. I'd like to let you use it if that's okay with you. And he started.
You tell me you pulled a Denzel Washington?
I do it all the time. I'm the man on fire.
Look at
this
Eli.
dude, this dude, this dude started welling up with tears, and he said, "Thank you, young man." And he took the mask and he put it on, and he looked at security, and everyone just started backing away. And I looked at the folks that had their phones up, and I was like, "Yeah, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves a little bit, right?"
Well,
And I didn't make a big deal out of it, but I was like, "Come on, man." This
it's
is an
the same shit you see when you like I think it was like a month ago. I drove by like a car accident and there's an ambulance out. Everybody's pulled over in one lane, so we're nice, slow moving traffic, trying to get through the situation. Cars are, cops are letting the cars go by, flagging them on to come on.
yeah.
And you're sitting there thinking like, oh my God, I hope everybody's all right. But everybody's got their fucking neck turned like an owl trying to see if they can see a
Oh,
head. Like, I want to
totally.
see a head on the floor. Like this whole type of thing. Like that's their whole mentality. I mean, I work at a gym, so we see conflicts every single day of just people getting, you're not wearing your mask, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. I'm like, you get
I thought you were
this.
gonna say you just saw conflicts because there's a bunch of testosterone like lunatics that are like, "Yo, man, I was dropping those 20s."
No, no, there's actually some powerlifters that get aggressive in there if you tell them to put their mask on. And it's like, this is everybody. You just get to see everybody pull their phone out, like hoping for that conflict, waiting for that thing. I'm like, this is what happens when we cancel Jersey Shore. This is what happens when we don't have any of these reality televisions that aren't on TV anymore. You go and find conflict in your everyday life. And now you get to see people the weirdest shit. And I know you know this to be true, is people try to start the conflict between two
Oh,
people like a
totally.
fucking puppet master. I'm like,
Old school,
what?
man. That's like lunchroom cafeteria style stuff where you're like, "Yo, man, that dude said your mom was fat," and you're like, "What?" Like I feel like that's like happening on a national scale right now. Like literally at the debate, Trump was like, "Yo, man, your son's a bitch," and I listen. I don't want to get too political. I do, but I don't. But I will say this: if Joe Biden in that moment had looked at that dude and like squared off and just said, "Listen, here's the deal. You can say whatever you want about me. If my son's name comes out of your mouth again, I don't even give it. I don't care about this presidential election. I'm gonna come over there and wreck you." Like I would have been so like as a dad, as a voter, I'd have been like, you know what? That's right. You don't say anything about anybody's kids. So like that's what I'm waiting for. But I can't believe that like you're saying, like people instigate like that. They pushed and poke to see what's up and to see what you're made of. And I don't know, man.
It's the
I
same
think
shit that
it's a
happens on
lot.
even when we were messaging. Like I was just trying to send quick responses and stuff because like when it comes to social media, when it comes to messaging, I can't do it. I just it's the hardest thing for me to try and like because I've talked to I'm trying to get guests all day or something. Next thing you know, I have to shorten it down to a thing and it comes off as rude. I'm like, just get into a conversation with me. You notice that that's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
how I'm
yeah.
trying to come off. I'm trying to come off as like a normal talk thing here. But it's the whole idea of like even when people are too lazy and they voice text, not holding your phone down and recording your voice and sending it. I'm talking about straight up voice text and they send it
Right.
without looking. Every time I'm reading it, I think it's like they're yelling at me. I'm like, what do you mean go to the store and get groceries? I don't want to go to the store and get groceries. They're like, why are you snapping right now? I'm like, what? Like such conflicts start over that now. I'm like, this is what it's going to be. They're selling our data to Google and all these other places. Well, now they're going to start morphing our words. So you send a text like, hey, beautiful, can't wait till you get home. And you send it to your girlfriend, boyfriend, your mom, your dad, whoever you want to send that to. And the next thing you know, they read it and it says, hey, you piece of shit, can't wait till you get home. And it's like, oh, here we go. And then it's like on their phone, it says beautiful, but on the other person's phone, it says, you ugly piece of shit.
That would be great. We just start intercepting our texts and not like we need much help sending things that are misunderstood all the time. Humans weren't meant to communicate in verbal form, like, I mean, textual form. We don't understand each other barely as it is when we speak. There's so much misunderstanding. So when you read a text or an email, it's amazing there's not more. Listen, my pop, is old school, man. And he used to tell me, your generation talks too much and I have this conversation with my wife all the time because my wife she grew up in the suburbs of Syracuse of New York, right? And her family is super peaceful. They're super down to earth folks. They're religious. They're intelligent, And my family is a bunch of lunatics from Brooklyn, and we just don't handle things the same way. And I'll be honest, I've had some like conflict as of late with people with different personalities, and there is a part I have to suppress the part of me that really does think, sometimes you got to slap someone in the mouth for them to understand what's going on with you. And listen, when I was your age, bad stuff happened, dude, and we're not really going to get into it. But I was raised in an environment where if fighting was on the table, if you had to defend yourself emotionally, you could lift your fists up. That's where I grew up. That's what Brooklyn was
That
like
was
in the
just the
80s.
that was just the era too. I mean, that was mainly the
Right,
thing was
man.
to solve with your fist, but now let's go home and tweet about it.
Right. And so like I'm not I've made the adjustment as an older man. I'm also a dad, you know. I'm not trying to like start shit with people in the street. And I usually try to really help people out. But at the same time, uh it's hard for me to really make that full adjustment. And all I have to do right now, between being bipolar and all that other stuff, I just have to shut it down. Just have to like listen, walk away, figure stuff out, talk it out. And I really do try to do that thing where you really talk stuff out. But there is a part of me that just remembers some problems got solved quicker when you just got cracked in the face by someone who you said something stupid about. Then you're like, whoa, I'm not going to say that again. And you usually, and strangely enough, and I know this is a cliche, but a lot of times after the fact, people got over it and they were friends, or they at least they knew, like, listen, that's the line. I'm not crossing it again, and we're good. I don't think that we could be a civilized society like that, really, the way it was like in the 70s, 80s. But like, how long ago in the big scheme of things, man? And I listened to a couple of your shows, and it sounds like you like getting into like think about thoughts, kind of like, you know, the depth of where we can go psychologically, right? So along those lines, how long ago was it in let's even just say American history, where if somebody wronged you, you could like say, well, you know what, I got to challenge you to a duel and I got to kill you at sunup.
That's what I'm saying. We fought over Raisin Bran and shit. That's what I'm
Right.
saying is if there's an implication that you can take a gun out and shoot somebody in the middle of the street over a duel, over just a slight interaction, you know
Right.
how many interactions would happen? Not
And
a
how
whole
long
lot.
ago was that?
That
I
was
mean,
only a few hundred years ago.
not even the movie Hamilton, the musical Hamilton.
I
Big
fucking
deal.
hate musicals.
So yeah, but that's a big deal. Yeah, I do too when I was in. So so here's the deal though. That thing is a huge success, and people go again. All these folks clamor to watch it, and they're sitting in their seat hearing the music, and they're watching these people do hip hop, and all these white people are safe because like, I'm on a Broadway show watching hip hop. But all that stuff aside, that show boils down to the fact that that dude talked crap about that guy's family, and he said, "Yo, I'll meet you in New Jersey because that's where everything's legal at dawn, and we're going to shoot each other in the face, and whoever lives lives." That's not that long ago, and those are the forefathers of our nation. That's how things started here.
Well,
that's how we built this country.
Here's how interactions go now. So let's say me and your interaction didn't go well, and this podcast would have never happened. Okay, so we're messaging each other. Somebody says something. Somebody says something. Either you or me put up something about it and say like this person, this, and it shows your whole perspective.
Right.
There's a thing. If you're on social media, it should always be professional. So the fact of if you should always like if you have bad interaction with someone, just let it go. Let the whole thing go. Just totally delete whatever, block each other, do whatever. Don't talk about each other. But then one person has to start talking shit, and the other person's like, well, now this person's talking shit, so now I have to respond or I have to do the same thing back, and then it's a never-ending shit pool of who can get the last shit on the other person.
Right.
But it's like, I'll never start it, but I will be more than happy to make it even. You know, you play to get even, that whole thing. It never fucking ends. And it's like, that's the issue with social media is somebody kicked your ass at school. What else are you going to do? You can challenge them to another fight when you learned karate for 10 years and came back later? Maybe, but it wasn't like
Right,
you were
that's a good story.
Yeah.
I'll watch that.
Yeah.
That's Cobra Kai pretty
There's
much.
a
You
whole
just summed that whole
series
thing
on
right
it.
up. But no, but and then this is the other thing, you know, here's you and I having this conversation, and we're two white dudes. I'm assuming. I only have this one shot of you. I don't know much about your
I
background.
took an ancestry.com and said I was 3% Nigerian and a bunch of other stuff. So.
Cool. So man, you got something going on there, which is awesome. But along those lines, culturally, I live in Chicago. Right now, on the South Side, if someone talks shit about someone, someone's gonna get shot. Like someone's gonna get shot at their birthday party. It's not even there's not even like rules of engagement. Like there's like drive-by shootings at the funeral for the person that they're upset about losing. Like it's unbelievable, right? But that's not my culture. I didn't grow up like that. Like I grew up with organized crime. And it's not that it's much better, but there were rules, and there were strong, strict rules. Listen, I'm gonna say some crazy stuff to you. There's a dude who, when I grew up, he worked at like the social clubs that the Italians would rent for birthday parties and stuff, and he would be your bartender or DJ or something like that, right? That guy ran a couple of clubs in my neighborhood and ended up stealing a bunch of money from a bunch of mobsters. But rather than do the right thing by them, he kind of hid it and lied about it. He got shot 6 times in the face. You know why? To disrespect him and his family so that they couldn't have an open casket funeral. Yep. Right? That's a real thing that happened in 1985. It's not 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's horrific. Right?
Well, they also had a thing like, And a lot of mafia movies you can see too, and also just throughout history, they have a person that greets you at the door that's like the wind down person. Because somebody would approach your house wanting to fight you, wanting to kill you, wanting to shoot you. They're expecting that you're going to open up the door. Next thing you know, this is your mother, this is your wife, and there's a respect thing of not to do that in front of the woman or not to do that at all
Right, right,
around her. They're like, "Can we see this person?" That woman came in, grabbed you by the hand, took you, sat you down. Would you like some tea? Would you like a fruit cake? Next thing you know, they're eating and they're all leveled out. It's that whole
right.
thing. Like I'm settled now. I'm not as angry as I
Right.
was when I
That's kind
approached
of
the
an
door.
Italian thing. It's an
Yeah.
Italian cultural thing. Like when I bumped into a couple people who were part of an organized crime thing in my lifetime that were Cuban, different thing. They have a different cultural feeling about that. Like they like culturally, like Cuban mafia people that I interacted with in my lifetime, they go after everybody you ever met. Like they'll kill someone that you didn't even know knew you. And you'll get the message back like, "Oh man, that guy was
And they'll
my
do it over stuff like if you kick a dog, don't ever assault a
yeah,
dog or anything like that in front of one of those Cuban
yeah.
people. Because I will tell you straight up, that's one of the saints' major icons. Like that's
Got you.
one of the saints that they pray for. If you kick a dog, that's like spitting on their saint, so they will attack you. That's
Hey,
why all of them still hate Michael Vick for what he
I
did.
love dogs. Yeah. No, so I mean, like culturally, there's differences, and that's okay. I don't think that that makes anybody racist to like identify. I mostly talk about my own so that it makes sense, but I see some of those differences, and you just say like, okay, someone could come home. Most kids right now could come home, get on the internet, and bully somebody, right, or talk crap about somebody, and they're either gonna get it back, someone's going to try to come back at them, or they're going to get away with it because the person usually who they're bullying doesn't have the strength to fight back for themselves, right? So all that stuff is going on. Then you've got the other side of the tracks where someone could get shot for it. Then you've got up the ladder where someone like in the corporate or business world, there's like maneuvering that people do like that to try to advance themselves. So there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of negativity going on. And yeah, I mean, I know it sounds like I'm bringing it back, but like we just thought it would be fun to create a movie because so like I teach improv at Second City, right? And we have these things in the summer. We have these camps. They're called camps, even though it's not like it's not outdoors or anything like that. But we have these things where every day you show up, 2 weeks, whatever, a week, and you learn different things: sketch comedy writing, improv, acting, on camera performance, stand up, and storytelling and stuff, right? So you do this intensive stuff for like a full week, and then you leave and you go bring it back to whatever your community is, right? So we thought like it would be fun to write a movie where people were going to a camp like that, but to be a content creator, to be someone who like learns how to put out videos and stuff. But pretty much the main lesson in this thing from the people who are running it are like, yo, record people at their worst and make yourself look better. And that's like the lesson people are learning is like, you're going to look great if you record people falling apart and then pick on them for it. And that's the lesson. So in our movie, we're just having some fun to have a little moral and say, listen, if you do that, if you use social media in this way, you've unearthed an evil that will eliminate you. Like you've set the balance off in the world. And there's an evil that you've awoken that will take you out for doing that. Now, unfortunately, just like any other good story that I mean, like, in the past few years, we've encountered lots of evil in the world, right?
Yeah.
Everything from, I mean, ISIS type stuff, right? There's no superheroes, though. There are super villains in this world. There are
Everybody's
people,
Homelander. Everybody
right?
today nowadays is Homelander. They have this psychotic side to them. I was like, if anybody's gonna be a superhero nowadays, it's gonna be a vision of Homelander, not Superman.
Right.
You're gonna have that
Exactly right.
murderous
So
intent.
so we have those though. We had Jihadi John. We had these kind of scary characters who were doing super villain stuff, but we have zero heroes. We have none. I mean, we've got some military folks that man, they're doing this as a team, but they don't listen. The decision to do something evil in this world, it's just a decision. You don't need a superpower to do that. To stop someone from doing that, you practically need to be a superhuman, and we don't that doesn't exist, right? So
That we know of.
that we know, yeah, they haven't sprouted up yet, and I bet they do exist, just not on our universe. Not to get, I
Well,
know,
if you have
you mentioned
superhuman
Rogan,
powers,
so
are you going to fucking help anybody that's kind of like in a dangerous situation? I mean, come on, with the fact
not
of
on
how,
this earth.
yeah,
There's other ones like the whatever Earth Bernie Sanders won the presidency in last time, like whichever Earth that is, that place has superpowers, and they have like low calorie cheese. They have really great things on that. See,
can't believe it's not butter.
my priorities are like like pasta that doesn't hurt you and superheroes. Like if I could live on a plane of existence where like you could eat a full bowl of pasta with meatballs and cheese and not gain weight, that and have superheroes, that's the perfect
Or
planet.
go into a food coma. Holy shit.
Yeah, or that would be your superpowers. You could like metabolize carbohydrates.
You lose weight the more you eat and sleep.
That's the planet I want to try to live on for
That's
just
the movie
just a little
Thinner.
while. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's part of that movie, but remember the whole thing was a curse from the get-go.
Yeah. All because he hit a gypsy's wife.
You know, you can't say that word, man. Don't get canceled. I'm trying to help you.
Wait a minute, you can't say gypsy anymore?
You did it twice now.
I work with Romanians and Bulgarians.
You can say Romanian, Bulgarian, but ask them. It's listen, they can say it.
No, they both have them though. That's the thing. They both call each other. They both call each other that, and then they take offense to it. And I'm like,
and if you were an Italian kid, I could call you a guinea and a wop, but like that's not the way. We're okay. We can use it. It's just N-word style. It just happened recently. Here's one of the ways I know. There was do you remember Shel Silverstein, the children's poet? By any chance, he wrote "Where the Sidewalk Ends" and stuff. You probably got it pushed down your throat when you were a little kid. You don't even remember anymore. But he had a poem called "The Gypsies Are Coming." Oh man, now you made me say it. But they switched it to they switched it to the Googies. They just made it like a fictitious thing because even he realized before his passing as a poet, like, oh, this is a derogatory, pejorative term for folks that if it's used outside of the culture is usually meant to like keep people down and stuff. So
I thought it was like supposed to label like psychics, mediums, and all this type of stuff because like
everything you're saying right now is super racist, by the way.
Psychic and medium is not racist.
In relation to Romanian, if you're like assuming
that's the thing. I worked with Romanian Bulgarians and they both called each other like a gypsy or something. I'm like,
listen, I work with African Americans and they call each other the N-word, but you don't see me dropping it on this podcast.
When did they? Is that really that bad? I would not want to say that then if that really offends people like that. But then, like, I can also say,
like I said, you seem like a good guy, so I was just letting you know that's one of the ones on the list. You can't say the R word for people with mental differences.
Retardation.
You can't say that word.
I was all right. First of all, when I was in school, my school thought I was
canceled for this podcast.
My school thought I was mentally challenged, so I'm not even. I'll associate myself with those groups. I have done everything possible. That's what I wanted to go to, whatever for a job. That's what I wanted to go to school for, was to help people that were mentally challenged because of that whole labelization I had in school. Because my teachers were like, "This kid's fucking stupid. There's no way his brain could ever go in any direction like this and get anything done." Well, guess what? I proved you somewhat wrong, but. When it comes to the factor of how,
I bet there's things inside of we've been talking for what, a half hour. I bet there's things inside this podcast two white guys don't even realize they're already canceled for. Like they come out of our mouth, and just the second we're saying that, people are like, "Are you crazy? You can't say that." I could be 100% ally, Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ ally, like all that stuff. But my brain didn't grow up in an era where there was socially acceptable ways to talk about things like that. So I am 100% sure that I constantly screw it up, even though my heart's in the right place.
It's the same thing with Bob Saget when he starts talking about like trying to say the LGBTQ, and he always messes it up. And he's like, now I'm going to get canceled because I can. That's why I'm saying comedy, like people are talking about comedy's evolved. Yes. I don't think there's ever a need to cancel anybody. This is just my opinion. I don't think you ever need to cancel anybody. I think if it's not funny, then don't laugh. Eventually that person's going to learn it's not working and to get a new stick. Am I right? But Bill Burr even said, when you cancel someone for saying something that might be offensive to somebody, next thing you know, that person loses their job. Then they have to feed their 3 kids. How are they going to do that? They're just going to get pissed off. And you know what they're going to do when they're pissed off? Fill their kids' heads with the same bullshit that they got canceled for. It never ends it. What do is you don't laugh at it. You just move on. And people say comedy evolves. I get it. It does. But there was a period, 2008, where Don't Mess with the Zohan came out. You watch that movie now, no fucking way. Dave Matthews was a racist redneck. Nobody even brings that up, but it was so stupid and so stereotypical. You laughed at it because you think nobody could think that way.
Right. Yeah, man. You look at a lot of the things that were, whether it doesn't even have to be comedy, just the way things were shown not long ago. You can look at movies from the 90s, sitcoms. I mean, you can watch Friends, dude. Friends is a super racist television show,
Pivot.
and it's hugely popular still. And like, you know, zillennials and millennials and exillennials are all finding it now for the first time. And there's comedy in there, so they're laughing, but someone's not watching close enough because, like, you know, again, it's this magical part of New York City where only Caucasians live in $4,000 a month apartments with no jobs. Like, there's a lot of things wrong with our entertainment, but
Well,
you
how
know,
hard was it for you, for instance, for trying to think of a movie idea and trying to be able to create this movie without really having to go over it with like a fine-tooth comb of like, is this going to offend anybody? Is this going to get? Because I feel like
yeah.
with anything, you could literally take apart anything and find like a. It's like taking a deep meaning out of something. Like, whoa, I'm out of milk. That must mean that I should start my diet today. God's telling me. It's like anybody could literally look through
Yeah.
anything and really take a deep, super deep cut into it. So I was wondering how
Yeah.
difficult it was for you not to cross any boundaries.
No, yeah, we have an insanely diverse cast, mostly because I'm super lucky, and all the people that we cast in this, we didn't go like the classic route and have like a casting director. I just used like all my friends and a couple of recommendations or people that I didn't know that we wanted in certain roles. But we didn't do that thing like, you know, you kind of hear like in like Saturday Night Live worlds, like for diversity purposes, there's like a checklist, and that's like a thing that went around this past year, especially like Second City dealt with it, is learning that after all these years, these shows get cast, and it's like, we need one black guy, one woman of color, of some other color, like, and this is
Like
ridiculousness.
when you see
So
colleges, when they do their pamphlet and stuff, there's always
their
like that weird,
pamphlets.
yeah.
Right. So we didn't do that. We didn't set out to do that. We just, luckily enough, at this point in my life, I've met a cross section of humans. I've lived a very life full of diversity in my friendships, in my actual friendships. I'm not one of those dudes like, oh, my black friend says, like, I got friends of all stripes. So in this movie, it reflects that. So we definitely walk that line that you're talking about, because you know, our movie has a transgender female in it. It's a huge African American component in this movie. Like, our movie, like by Hollywood's kind of BS standards, when I hear the phrase get bandied around really carelessly, where people are like, well, there's more than 3 black actors in it, so it's a black movie. Well, our movie has way more than 3 black actors in it, and it's just a movie for people, right? So I'm curious, because we didn't set out with diversity as our goal, but we really wanted to showcase some people's talent. Like, there's an African American deaf actor in this movie, and I love that that's true. Like, my wife's an educator of the deaf, and you know, I've just gotten a chance only in the periphery to be a part of that culture, to see some of their performances, both stand-up comedy wise, poetry wise, theatrically. And I was like, this stuff is amazing. Why am I not seeing more of this in my shows? And whenever you do, quite often it's about that, right? If you see a transgender character, the character has to be, that's their whole platform, right? They have to talk about that. If you see a deaf character, even on like Master of None, had a great episode with a deaf couple, and it was about that person's experience as a deaf person. It kind of veered away from who they are as a human and more so who they are as a deaf person, right? So we're trying to avoid that in this movie. So I'm curious. I hope people get to see it in lots of ways. Just one, because, you know, you make a movie for people, you put art out so people can enjoy it. But I'm curious, man, because we definitely walk that line. I'll tell you one part specifically. This is a bit of a, I don't think it's a spoiler, but it's a fun thing to talk
You already
about.
spoiled Chicago PD for me, so
Yeah, season 5. Don't. I'll say, you can watch my reel and it spoils that he dies on my talent reel on my website. That guy dies right on that. Yeah,
cross
it's
that
rough.
off the checklist.
I'm helping you out, man. I saved you 5 seasons worth of watching. Look at
Oh.
that. But in our movie, there's a scene where I play this guy. He looks like me because it's me playing him, who mistakes an African American guy for another African American guy. They both have dreads. They're both burly dudes, and that's about it. Other than that, they're not remotely similar. But I thought it was important to show in as a character in this thing, this mistake that people make, because their culture, that's their thing, right? So I'm not, as a filmmaker, making the statement that black people look alike or people of color look alike. I'm saying white people still F this up. they still make this mistake and don't take the time to know a person or to even care that that might be an insult. That's a thing that I still encounter in this world. It literally just happened to me. It's so funny. So we put it in the movie, and then it happened to me in the production of this movie. Someone thought they knew one of the actors in the movie. They were watching clips of it, and they go, "Oh, isn't that the guy that used to work at that restaurant?" I'm like, "No, that's not that guy." And they're like, "No, I'm sure it is." And I'm like, "Shut the hell up. You're being racist and stupid right now, and I'm trying to help you." So I have a character in the movie that I portray that makes that mistake, and it is a mistake. And I think people should be allowed to make mistakes, especially if they recognize them and then try to correct them.
I
Like
did
that's
that with two white chicks the other day at my work. These two women, blonde, like the classic white woman look, like the blonde
totally.
Karen look.
Yeah,
And
man, it's a thing.
I saw it, and like I was like, "Hey, weren't you just in here?" She goes, "What?" I'm like, "You weren't already in here?" She goes, No. This is my first time in here today." I'm like, "Hang on a second. So was that your sister that came in? Like, you guys have to be related." No relation.
Not
And then
at
they
all.
both met each other, and they're like, "We don't see it." I was like, "You don't see that you're both blonde hair, ponytail, literally wearing the same exact gym brand on, like, and you guys literally have wrinkles in the same exact spots. Like, you
Wow.
guys don't notice that?" And then they were
Well,
like,
I was a college professor for 8 years, and we would have like the first week of class, we would stand in a circle because it's improv, so we like get to know everybody. And there was this one time where we're going around the circle, and there was this blonde girl standing. It was like, imagine a circle of about 20 people,
yeah.
college age, and me, and they're standing in a circle, and I let them introduce themselves, say something about themselves that we don't know, kind of like just, hey, let's get to know each other. This one girl's like, "Hi, my name is Kara," and across the circle from her,
Why is that always the Paul voice?
literally, dude, across the circle from her, someone goes, "Wait, Kara?" And she's like, "No, Kara." She goes, "Yeah, that's what I said, Kara." And it's like, these girls started talking, and I lost my mind. I started laughing so hard. I was like, "You guys are talking, you're like dolphins right now. You're just speaking in your own little clicks. No one understands what you're saying except you." But they looked exactly alike, and they just couldn't even figure out what the vowels were in their names. And I mistook these girls for like 3 months. I would every day, it was Kara, Kira, Kiara. It was unbelievable. And probably right now, if I had to identify their bodies, I would still be like, I don't know who they are. They look like the same white chick to me. So it does happen culturally. It happens. Everyone kind of looks alike. I have
Can't you tell that we're wearing different scrunchies? It's like,
they're like, those yoga pants are different than these yoga pants.
first of all, these are Uggs and those are boots.
Yeah, seriously, these are not waterproof. I'm not afraid of water. She is afraid of water.
She's drinking a Starbucks caramel frappuccino with a dollop of cream.
And her name is on the side, and it says Kara.
I was like, honestly, they didn't even know how to fucking spell it.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. So I mean, that's the deal, man. We make that mistake. I think no matter who you are, Chappelle says it, everything is funny until it happens to you. So, listen, I'm an overweight, burly. Do you know how many times coming up in this industry, people thought I was Kevin James or Jack Black, and it would happen. And at some point you have to consider it a compliment when it's someone kind of famous, but then also you're like, okay, you just think all fat guys look the same. Like, you just really, like, it's really crazy, like, that people just don't look at the person. So I just wanted to make that statement in the movie, and we throw a scene in where that happens. But the person is brought to task on it, and then pseudo apologizes for it. They go to that extent to be like, "Whoa, that was not accurate."
I think the roughest thing for society to kind of face is the fact of how everybody, whenever you ask, they say they want to be like this person. They want to be like this person. They want to be like this person. You want to be you. And it's like, that's like the hardest realization is like, once you start becoming at a level of fame or you start thinking that you're making moves or something and people start comparing you to other people, it's like, I want you to know me for me, not for some other name or some other title that oh, you're his friend, or you're friends with
Right.
you're Jack Black's third removed cousin. It's like, no, I'm not at all.
Yeah. So without being stalkery, you're from the East Coast,
Maryland.
Okay.
So I
Maryland.
understand
So
the
like,
Chicago thing.
so Baltimore, you got a I'm trying to figure out. I love studying
Definitely my
dialects.
accent.
Yeah, your dialect is definitely, but I guess that's very similar to, like, there's a weird part of Pennsylvania. Are you familiar? You know who Bam Margera is?
Yeah, I know Bam Margera.
Yeah, you got a little bit of that going on too. You got a little bit of his dialect, but also his persona. Like I met Bam when I was like 14, and he was skating, and I would do freestyle rap competitions versus friends in Pennsylvania. But it's like he was so funny about it. But you have that round vowel thing that you're doing. It's really fun.
They're gonna say Monday, Tuesday.
Is that how you say those words?
That's how they say it in Baltimore, whatever you want to call it.
Baltimore, yeah. Chicago's funny too, man, because like everyone thinks it's that like flat accent, like that broad, and it's true for almost everything except the word Chicago. So when you say like you would think,
Chicago.
yeah, you would think with Chicago, you would think it would be Chicago because they flatten it. Like if they say like, "Hey, could you grab my backpack?" It's like very flat vowels, but then they say Chicago. They round out that, oh, it's Chicago. It's really weird. Yeah, I love studying how people talk, man. Like I do my best to sound like a normal, upstanding human being because I have a college degree and stuff. But man, my Brooklyn accent kicks in sometimes, and it's ridiculous. Like
That's what I love about like voice impressions and stuff, and then even accents and stuff in movies. Did you include any accents in movies?
Well, you mean for this one?
Yeah.
My character is a little more blue collar. Is that the right one? Yeah, blue collar. So I try to I like let him rough it up a little bit. I'm okay. Yeah, I totally. So I let him be a little more closer to my actual dialect. Like that, I didn't cover up my dialect. I didn't have to. I was wearing a. This is a silly thing I can mention for right now for fun. It's a real deep cut for movie fans. But I'm a huge John Candy fan because he was one of my heroes growing up. Because like you said, representation matters. And when I was a chubby kid growing up, because I've chubby is almost like at this point that's closer to who I am racially than anything else culturally. Like fat people have a different experience in this country than other things. But so I love John Candy movies growing up. All Great Outdoors and Uncle Buck, all that stuff. Just loved all those movies. One Crazy Summer. Sorry, I said the wrong one. Summer Rental. I get yelled at by my movie friends. Summer Rental was the one where he wears a Chicago Blackhawks jersey in the whole movie. But it's funny because he's this heavy set dude, and he's on the beach. The whole thing is he's on the beach, but he never like goes shirtless. He's just wearing either a Hawaiian shirt or a Chicago Blackhawks jersey. And my son loves the Hawks, like loves the Chicago Blackhawks, loves hockey. I never skated. I can't skate. I never got into hockey growing up. I played football, all that stuff. But I never did anything with skating growing up in Brooklyn. And we moved here and my son plays hockey and he loves it. And so he got into the Hawks. So we go to Hawks games and we even went to the AHL games, like the farm leagues. And the farm league for the Blackhawks is the Rockford Ice Hogs. Shout out to the Ice Hogs. Their mascot is a red pig. I think it's awesome. I don't know why I think it's hilarious. So I bought an Ice Hogs jersey. So I have in the movie my character as kind of an homage to John Candy in Summer Rental. I wear this bright red Ice Hogs jersey because this is a real deep cut, but you probably would be with me on it. Like I'm like an AHL John Candy. I'm like a minor league John Candy. I'm not famous. I'm an actor. I've been working at this a long time, but John Candy was the major league, so he could wear a Blackhawks NHL shirt. So I'm a minor league John Candy in this movie. So I'm wearing a minor league jersey that's for the same teams.
That's one of the things I was going to ask. What your biggest, I guess, impression was, or what you kind of structure off of? Because obviously you do a comedy, you do acting or something. You have your main influences that you kind of seem like when you first start out, you kind of mimic a little bit, and that's when you start finding your little rut and find your little groove that you get stuck in, which ends up defining you.
Yeah, I mean typecasting is a weird thing, I mean, everything. If you watch me, listen, I spent the first like whatever 30 years of my career, because I have big eyes and I'm a big dude. All my stuff was very funny and very light and fluffy. The musical I was in on Broadway, I played a 13-year-old when I was 31. So like, it's a weird thing. They had adults playing children, so very colorful and bouncy and fun. Well, something happened when I hit my 40s, dude, and the roles that television booked me on, I am either an accessory to murder, like a pimp, really dark characters. Like my characters are really problematic.
You got the serial killer eyes.
I don't know what happened.
It's like I could tell you a secret, but then you'd probably kill me once I told you my own secret.
And my characters, it's not that they would kill you, but if someone was nearby killing you, they wouldn't help you. Or if someone wanted
the guy that jogs in a park at like 3 a.m, like, why the fuck are you jogging?
Listen,
right now?
Be careful. My characters don't jog. Nobody mistakes my characters for
I gotta,
someone who is looking to get exercise.
I gotta go. Do you ever kind of feel that like if you lost weight, your roles would change? Because I heard
Yeah,
Kevin,
I've been up and down, so you see it. You
well,
definitely see that.
Kevin Smith's manager said that if he lost weight, he would lose roles, and I was like, because that's what you
Kevin
look at him
Smith
on.
shouldn't be acting. Just as a side note, I'm happy to say that right on here.
Is that
Kevin
Kevin
Smith.
Smith or Kevin James? Maybe
Oh,
Kevin
okay.
James.
Well, no,
King
Kevin
of
Smith.
Queens.
He puts himself in. No, yeah, Kevin James. Yeah, he probably heard more of that. You know Will Sasso by any chance from Mad TV back in the day?
Yeah,
That dude was a large cat and lost weight, and he literally lost like lots of work
it's the same
because
thing with Brendan Fraser. He literally went
yeah,
like downhill because of a medical thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, you got the dad bod." I was like, "Yo, he
yeah,
lost his hair, he lost everything," and then they put him in Doom Patrol, but they put him in an iron suit, so you couldn't even tell it
yeah.
was Brendan Fraser.
I'm curious with Ethan Suplee, the guy who has the um podcast, it's called American Glutton, I think. Yeah, you should check it out. It's a well, you wouldn't have no reason to check it out because it's all for fat people. But that dude was in a bunch of movies. He was in like Mallrats and stuff, and he was like 465 pounds, I
Yeah,
think.
he's ripped now. He was in
And
My
he's
Name Is Earl.
ripped. Yeah,
Yeah,
my name is Earl. Right there he is, dude. And that dude is jiggity jacked now. And so, like, he's one of those guys you don't see the journey. And then, like, someone like me sees that. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. As long as it's possible, I don't have to worry about it. Like, if at some point I got to get jacked, clearly you can do it. That guy was bigger than me. But I mean, I have not been in that position. Fortunately, most of my characters right now, like I said, the weird thing is the stuff I booked for television were like these dark characters. I mean, yeah, if you look at me as a security guard in a prison, you're like, that guy's, he can't run a mile without without being winded. But it didn't matter. So I've been real lucky career wise. Like I haven't been defined by my size in that way. I turned down a pretty hefty commercial gig once because it was for like a weight loss thing, and they wanted me to be really crappy to, like, the whole commercial was me like with a megaphone being really mean to someone who was trying to lose weight. And I was like, why would I do that? Like, my whole family was fat growing up. And so I turned that down. It was like saying no to like 50 grand, which
oh
is
my
not Chappelle
god.
money. But at the time I really could have used $50,000.
Imagine the people that were in those like Tampax or those meningitis commercials that were like, "Hi, my name's Samantha, and I have chlamydia." Those
Yeah,
people thought that was when their career was going to take off, and little did they know that it was just their
that
stuff
was
now.
it. Yeah, man, the commercials I've done. I mean, I've been a pizza guy on commercials. Usually, again, all my stuff is all comedy based. So usually it's like someone who is goofy. I played like lots of construction workers that drop stuff. Like anyone that would screw something up and then be like, oops, like that bumbling idiot. Like, I got a lot of that stuff. And I think some of that had to do with my size, but at least I never had to do like the Chris Farley, like fall through tables. Like the stories that we hear about, like Farley, he would call Sharna Halpern is someone who used to own the Improv Olympic Theater here in Chicago, IO, it's called. And she would tell me stories about how he would call her crying after an SNL episode where, like, he's like, yo, I just got through a read through and they want me to like fall through a table again or run through a wall or just be a fat guy who can't, do
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm lucky in that. I mean, yeah, definitely my characters are a reflection of me, and my size is, I'm a big dude, man. I'm 6 feet tall, 280 pounds. I'm not a small person, but I've never had to like get a laugh at the expense of my own size and stuff like that. So I feel for folks that feel like that's the case for their
Yeah,
careers and
never get
stuff.
labeled. But I mean, even Rob Lowe talked about like he went to dinner with Chris Farley during when they were doing "That's My Boy," or
Yeah.
not "That's My Boy." What's it?
Tommy Boy.
Tommy's Boy. Yeah, Tommy's Boy. And he grabbed two 40-ounce steaks, and he put on each bite a cube of butter, like a cube of butter. And he's like, "Ha! It's a hat." Like you have to expect at that point. Like I mean, I think that's maybe that might have fueled some of the drugs too. Is the fact of imagine being labeled and then having that realization like nobody's ever going to take you seriously just because of how you've been fit in so many roles for different positions. That's why I was curious. And I'm also curious with the directing take, for instance,
Yeah.
what made you shift from wanting to be behind the camera to, I mean, maybe still being involved, but more of having, I guess, the creative ideas that you were coming up with instead of just doing that for improv was like, hey, I could actually turn this into a fucking movie.
Yeah, I love telling stories, man. I'm a Star Wars junkie. That's why like these last like the Ryan Johnson episode hurt me so much because I just felt like the storytelling wasn't there anymore. It wasn't this epic storytelling. So I love telling stories and I love writing things like that. And so I've always had that going on. And you know, you know, that's that cliche of like as an actor like, well, I'm hoping to direct. I really don't care of like which side of the camera I'm on. I just want to be able to be creative. To be honest, after doing some TV acting, I really loved it. Like that was a goal of mine forever, and truthfully I didn't get my first TV contract until I was 42. It was literally on my 42nd birthday I was signing my contract for NBC, and it was great and I loved it. I would go back to that in a second just to do that work. But now that I've gotten a chance to write, like in the past couple years, I've written and submitted 3 or 4 different pilots that are in various stages of commitment from some places. And then, of course, the epidemic hit, so everything is super slow right now in Hollywood, certainly. But I haven't given up hope on those shows. I think they're really good. I think they're voices that people need to see and hear. I'm lucky enough to have collaborators that are diverse. That are the team is diverse, so that we can put stories out that aren't just about just movie people or white people or anything like that. So I've got some more stories that hopefully on the coming years you'll start to see those in various iterations on whether it's a streamer or a network or something like that. But essentially for me, I just want a chance to do more than just create like a singular character. So it's just about like how much you get to put out. Like as an actor, when you get a script, you're responsible for that one thing and you do your best to tell that person's side of the story. And then, of course, you've got the filter of the directors and the writers and the producers and everything. When you produce and direct your own stuff, man, it's great because so much of your brain goes into it. And I'm just one of those guys, cats. I don't mean guys, like men. God help me. I'm one of those people that I do my best when I get a chance to just be as creative as possible, just put as much out there. So if I'm sitting in a room and people want to collaborate together and they're open to ideas, that's a great place for me to be in. I always said, every job I get, but most recently at Second City, was a great environment for me because I said, listen, I'm okay if the answer is no, but I gotta work somewhere where I can ask the question. I want to just be able to come to you and go, hey, what about doing this show or this class or
Well, it's like
this
you don't want to be
workshop?
afraid to fucking bring up a point if you want to add something in, if you have an
Right.
idea. I mean, how many people
But
just sit
listen,
there in like a writer's room and be quiet because of the fact of, oh, that they're professionals, let them do the thing. I'm sitting in on this episode. I'm lucky to be
yeah.
here. It's like once you do that, then you might have a point or something that gets brought up where they're like, dude, that's great. Let me put that in.
Right. And even you're even getting to the point where you're saying being in a writer's room. That's even an amazing feat. But you're exactly right. I've got a handful of acquaintances and some even close friends who write in TV. And their feeling about that is, man, that they're really not asked to be creative. They're asked to like kind of churn stuff out. And it's very methodical. And between being bipolar and also like whether I'm just lucky and I don't have to do that stuff. Right now for me, I just want the chance to put my ideas out, but I really love collaborating. I was an only child for the most part. It's a weird way to say that. My dad got remarried and I have 2 half siblings that I love dearly, but I didn't grow up with them. You know what I mean? I grew up
Yeah,
kind of alone.
I have the same
Then
thing.
yeah, they came along later. My brother is a huge part of this movie. He did all of the art design, all the logo his limit break. His art is so great. His graphic design is so awesome. But he's 15 years younger than me, so he wasn't around when I was a kid. You know what I mean? And my sister's 11 years younger than me. But so as an only child, I kind of reach out for collaboration. I looked for friends to play with as a kid, and then that turned into from playing with friends to just writing stories or writing little comic books or even like our version of I didn't play D&D as a kid, but I was a comic book nerd. So that was my thing, was like, can we come up with characters that fit that world? And yeah, so that's MS. So for me, I'll always act. I'll act, and the cool thing that I feel lucky about so far is my roles have changed with my age. So if there's a part for me, if there's a part for a 40-year-old guy, there's a part for a 50-year-old guy, whatever, I'll just keep doing whatever that is. So if any one of my friends or anyone has a project for me to be a part of, I'll definitely jump into that. But if I get a chance right now to shift gears and be a director, producer type, man, that's where it's at, because I really get a chance to put more of the stories and ideas that I have out
Get
into
to
the
put a
world.
little bit more of yourself in there too.
Yeah, way more of yourself, dude. I've had a lot of listen, I hear some folks, and you sound like, kind of listening to some of your episodes and stuff, like you've lived a pretty extensive life for someone young. And I think there's a lot of folks that haven't done that. There's a lot of sheltered people out there. And maybe it's good to be sheltered in a way, it's safer. But I didn't grow up like that. I grew up in a crazy environment of everything from violence to family tumultuousness to, everything from not understanding my mental illness, things like that. So I want to talk about that stuff. I grew up in an insane environment, and I want to put that stuff out in the world, see what happens.
Yeah, next thing you know, you'll have 8 different series after it too.
That would be great. That would be lots of fun, man. I could see that. But it's wild because, like, were you a Game of Thrones fan by any chance?
No.
No, yeah. So that was one of those ones where, like, people were huge fans, and then you can't make fans happy. I don't know if it would have been possible. And like I said, I'm a Star Wars fan, and the way that series, the Skywalker saga hurt me. I thought it was so bad that it hurt me.
I haven't seen any of the new ones.
Wow, really?
I saw The Mandalorian, and that was actually really good.
Mandalorian's fantastic. Watch every second of that. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni need to be handed the keys to Star Wars to take it wherever it's going to go. All the other actors.
I think it's the factor of, like, there's a whole different effect when you have like an unfaced character where people can envision, like, it's the same reason if you have like anybody that's masked or something like that, that any person, no matter religion, race, anything, can put themselves as that character.
That's true.
Like, same thing. That's what Stan Lee created Spider-Man for, was that when they had the mask and everything on him, any kid could envision themselves in that suit. That's why most of the time he was in that. And I was like, it makes perfect sense why everybody loved The Mandalorian, because as soon as he took his fucking helmet on, I was like, oh, dude, this guy looks like they crawled him out of a trailer park. He's ugly as shit. And like, next thing you know,
especially that one scene, like his mustache was all bloody and batted
I
down.
thought his nose blood was in his mustache. Like, I thought it was like morph, like his mustache was coming out of his nose. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, I thought that was great. The other thing that I loved about that was it forced my son and I to watch a show every week again. Like, I grew up on serialized television. There was a show called V when I was like my kid's age, and it was about like aliens landing on Earth, blending in with people, but they were really lizards underneath, and they could pull their faces off and stuff. And I would be at home when that show was on. I would yell at my mom if she was at her friend's house. I'm like, we got to get home. V's coming on. And if I got home one time, I really even remember it too. We had to get on a bus, go across town in Brooklyn, get back to our place, and I got on, and it was like a repeat. But I didn't tell her because I knew she was going to be. If I was like, I don't need to watch this. I saw this one already. But that was kind of fun when The Mandalorian came out, like, to look forward to that. Just like, man, when I was a kid and comic books came out or new books were coming out, like the whole binge watch thing is crazy. It's a different thing, man. There's so much going on right now that it's so weird that I feel like an old dude, because I really didn't think that was going to be the case. Because, I'm an entertainer and stuff. I'm a freestyle rapper and I still, I love art, and I didn't think I would feel old.
I felt old when they said that Heroes has been off air for like 15 years. I was like, damn, I remember watching that when I was a kid. Like, that was my show to watch, was Heroes.
Yeah, dude, it was a great show. Yeah, that 15 years that's been off the air now.
And then Don't Mess with the Zohan was 2008. So that's 12 years ago. Wow, and I'm like, dude, damn, that time flies. Yo, and we've changed.
That's 2 times you mentioned Don't Mention the Zohan.
I love that movie, man. It's a good, funny ass movie. Everybody hates a lot of Adam Sandler stuff. I'm like,
I love a lot of Adam Sandler stuff, but I watched his one from last night. I watched his Halloween movie last night.
Halloween is great, but people hate it because they think it's like a cross of the Waterboy and Halloween, and then they're trying to cancel him for the way that he displayed the Waterboy's voice or whatever. They said that's picking on mentally challenged people. From someone who was accused to be mentally challenged, let me tell you, I'm not offended at all. But on the concept of, it's the same reason why you said you put your friends in your movies too, when you create with your friends. People give him shit for putting his friends in movies. I'm like, no.
That's stupid.
Because they work together. It's like when you have a brand new cast. If you all make a really good movie together, you want to keep having these people on to have fun on.
Yeah, and listen, life is hard. Why would you want to be surrounded by anybody but people that you enjoy being with? Frank Sinatra said,
"That's bad advice when it comes to Trump, because he surrounds himself with everybody that agrees, and we seem like we need somebody else."
There's a difference between surrounding people that agree with you versus people that lift you up. You know what I mean? He's surrounded by yes people, and that's a different story. Frank Sinatra had a quote that it stuck with me my whole life, which is, if having power doesn't give you the freedom to work with who you want to, then what's the point? So right now, I was able to pitch that little movie to Linda Karn, who's an amazing executive producer, and she didn't challenged that. I was just like, hey, these are the best people for this movie, and I was able to put all these folks in that I really wanted to run around the woods with for a few days with some cameras and iPhones and get nuts, man. This movie's gonna be crazy, dude. It's gonna be a blast. I hope you dig it. I hope people like it. It's gonna be weird.
Send me a link to it, but
Hell
yeah.
yeah, man. I will definitely do that. But yeah, it's I don't know, man. I think working with your friends, like Sandler's funny about it too, though, because like at this point, his budgets for movies are so big that like they just try to figure out how to make movies in Hawaii.
Yeah.
They're like, where can we just all go to a beautiful place, get paid, and hang out together for 3 months? You know?
But you said Frank Sinatra, which is funny because I want to get to the level of fame with Frank Sinatra where he literally there was a busboy that was getting yelled at by an owner of a restaurant, and Frank Sinatra called the boy over and said, because the kid broke a glass, and the owner was yelling at him saying how much money it costs, and he says, how much for one of these glasses? And the owner's like, it's like $5 a glass or whatever. So he goes, I want you to give me every single glass, and and he told the kid, I want you to break every single one of these and I'll pay for it. And it's like, it's that whole thing of having that to like, that's the type of fame I think people should admire rather than the one like, I have 50 million Instagram followers and this is my cat. Like, you get to see the Britney Spears shift where I don't want to shit on Britney Spears, but you watch her, you're like, there's someone that is not doing okay.
Right. No, man, it's life is crazy right now, dude. This world is nuts, my friend. It really is. I hope that people can.
Let's hope 2040 is better.
Yeah, I'll still be that one. I think I'll be around for. I think I'll be around for 2040. I don't know about 2050, but 2040 I'll be around for.
You'll be around for 2050.
Oh man, come on, dude.
I'm a
heavy set bipolar. 2050. That's
give you a new body.
Years. Yeah, I would do the. Would you do that? Would you upload your consciousness?
Fuck that. I don't even have a Google Home in my house because I hate technology that much.
I was thinking yesterday how fun it would be if they could. I think we keep skipping. Like, did you watch Altered Carbon? So on Netflix is that show where you could like download your consciousness back into another body, and of course you could be like.
No, but I've seen Bruce Willis in that one movie. There's going to be people that are going to. What is that Bruce Willis movie where they upload your thing into like an AI body that people go around and people were killing those AI units and it was killing the person in real life?
I don't know if I saw that one.
It's fucking insane. I'm telling you, that's the prediction of the future. I've already predicted the future when it came to the vaccine for coronavirus. I said jokingly that to wait 6 months because it's going to be like I Am Legend. Everybody got the cure, then they all turned into fucking zombies. Well, September 10th happened, and a woman got the vaccine for coronavirus. It turns out 1 in 3 people suffer from severe side effects that are neurological. And Johnson & Johnson, that one company that was manufacturing one, stopped halt on production of it. I'm like, this is what happens. It's fucking I Am Legend. Wait 6 months. Let everybody else go first. You fucking grab bleach, a dog, and sit in your bathtub, and you wait. Like Bob Marley to get you through the hours.
Just some jelly donuts and a shotgun.
I would say like chili, like a raw can of chili, like uncooked, just sitting
can of like almost dog food. It's almost dog food. Yeah. I would eat. Did you ever eat like Chef Boyardee out of the can without heating it?
I never liked Chef Boyardee.
Oh, see, I told you, man. Pasta's my thing.
I'm a taquitos guy.
Yeah, but you have to heat those. I'm saying there's a few, like if you ever hit like that real bachelor, they're frozen.
You just let them defrost on the counter.
You just leave a taquito.
I never cook them right anyway. They're always cold in the middle. I fucking hate it.
It's like I just love the idea of someone leaving Hot Pockets just on the roof of their car.
Go get it out on the driveway like the settlers did.
That's how we make Hot Pockets in this family. You just leave them outside long enough. If food gets to room temperature,
get creative when you get hungry, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived that rough bachelor life when I was in my mid 20s, where I was just making ridiculous. Listen, when you're that person, like I know that this is getting horrible now, but when you like really, I subletted an apartment for a little while in Harlem, so like I didn't know my roommates at all, and I didn't like bumping into them because we didn't get along really. And so I was like, how long could I stay in this room? So you start figuring out things to pee in and ways to get food in your room. Dude, I'm telling you, that's a rough life when you're like, I don't want to go outside this room. How long can I stay in this room? I told you clinical depression is real. Like, so when someone says like, I'm bipolar, I'm like, have you stayed in one room for 7 months and only left to poop and come out? Like, is that it? Is that the only thing you came out?
Bipolar, but I have depression. I know how that gets. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's one half. It's one half of it. Yeah, when I had this apartment, I would get home from work. I didn't see or talk to anybody for like almost 6 months, and I would get home from work and order Chinese food, and one night I get a call from the Chinese place. So I missed the step, which is I would get high as fuck. So I like get home, smoke.
There's the finding the whatever the whatever the murder weapon.
Yeah, just get home and blaze, get super stoned, and then order like $60 worth of Chinese food. And one night I did this, and the place calls me and says, "Hey, could you go downstairs? Our uncle is the delivery thing, and he said he walked in your apartment and someone followed him in. So he's afraid to come upstairs because he's going to get jumped for the money that he has on him." And I was like, oh, man, I lived on a 5-floor walk up in Harlem. And I was like, yo, man, I ordered food so I wouldn't have to go downstairs. And they're like, I know, but things are dangerous. And I go, I got it. Fine. So I hung up the phone and I walk all the way down the stairs and I get to the bottom of the stairs, and he wasn't joking. Tucked in behind the stairs were like 3 teenagers, hoodies up. Couldn't see their faces at all. I didn't know what race they were. They were going to jump this dude as soon as I paid him. As soon as I paid him, he'd get outside, and that was it. So I walked him to his bike, took my food, walked him to his bike, made sure he got on, and opened the door. And I yelled back in the building when I came in. I was like, yo, if you don't live here, get the hell out of here. And 3 kids scurried out this back door. And he gets back to the Chinese place. They call me up, and they're like, yo, that was the nicest thing to do. They go, listen,
free wonton soup for life.
They told me every Thursday, give us a call, we'll buy you dinner. And I was like, you don't want to do that for me, man. I'm a 300-pound guy. I don't need free Chinese food.
Damn,
I was like, you need to actually charge me double.
You're a better man than me.
No. I just knew that if I knew that I wouldn't eat that whole week. If they were going to give me free whatever I wanted one day a week, I would order, my fridge would have just been groceries. Like I would have been like, okay, here's what I want. It would have been all Chinese food all week long. I'd have been bloated and like
stock me up with those little whatever they got at the spring rolls and those General Tso's chicken.
They still would give me a good deal. So after that, when I called, they were just so thankful that I didn't let their uncle. He was like in his 70s riding a bike around.
And they never came back to your place again. You had to go there every time to pick it up.
No, they were cool. They sent someone new. They just sent someone younger who didn't care about getting mugged.
Didn't care about getting his legs broken and beat the shit out.
Yeah, dude, that's a legit. That's so crazy to think like people just like come on.
Welcome to the world.
Right, but like who's robbing who, man? Like,
well, now it gets put on video, so then they have a video of you getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, that's true. Like in those buildings, probably when you walk in now, there's cameras, so no one gets away with that anymore. See, they even make it hard for like petty crime.
Well, no, actually, they would still do it even if it was on camera, because then someone had a professional security camera of them doing that. Same thing that happens at hotels, dude. When you look over the night footage at some of these hotels I'm in a beach town, Ocean City, Maryland. So we're like a couple hours away from Baltimore. Yo, you see the stupidest shit. I saw a drunk dude that was shitting his pants in the hallway, literally running down the hallway, just shitting while he's going. And I'm like, what is happening? My buddy's like, this happens every night. He goes, look at some of these things. We're flipping through. People are just getting drunk or getting on drugs and just grabbing chairs and just slamming it up against the hallway. I'm like, do they not know that they're on camera? Every time we're getting money out of them, they ask for the film tape because they want to post it on their social media. I'm like, you want your grandma to see that you shit your pants in a hallway? They're like, yeah, man, put it on Facebook Live, it gets famous. I'm like, all right.
Wow. Yeah, man, that's a fatal influence right there. That's why we made our movie.
Shameless plug back to the movie, please.
No, but I'm saying that's deadly. Like, if that's what you think you should be influencing, then you should die. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Promote the film, man, where people can find it, dude. I'm actually very curious of watching this thing now.
Oh, it's Fatal Influence, the movie. We're going over the top, which means we plan on releasing it only on our own website, because we're like, I don't want to be like Christopher Nolan right now and be like, no, go to a movie theater and get a disease and watch my movie. I don't know why that's his voice in my head. He's like, I make the best movies. My name is Christopher Nolan.
That's Little Nicky or the Water Boy that you're doing there.
Oh, is that what I'm getting into the world?
I'm Little Nicky.
Oh, that was a little different.
Popeye's chicken is fucking awesome.
Yeah, so if people go to Fatal Influence, the movie, there's my last plug. On October 30th, they can stream the movie right from there. So you get to stream it. We don't even know what the price is.
Perfect. There's no Halloween. We can all just watch the movie.
Hell yeah, man! It'll be a definite Halloween treat. We're also a little bit Blair Witchy, and and like Cloverfieldy. Like if you dig around on our website, there's a lot of crazy, weird Easter egg stuff and like alternate websites and alternate realities. So it's a fun little thing that we put together because we're fans. I'm a huge fan of the Blair Witch, huge fan of Cloverfield, of all that subversive, paranormal activity, like putting that stuff out there. So if people want to have some fun and they if you like that kind of thing, you like digging around websites and finding clues to other things that are going on, like this is definitely a movie for you. But before even just plugging it, I was thinking like anyone who wants their grandma to watch them shit in a hallway, like that should be natural selection. That we need a new natural selection. That's what our movie is hopefully going to do.
Get the vaccine. I'm saying, get it.
So that's it. You're anti-vaccinated. You're just saying 6 months.
I'm just saying 6 months. I'm saying I'm not going to be the first one to take it. I don't believe that vaccines cause things, but I've heard from comedians like Ron Funches that talks about that once he took his son there, he thinks that it just speeds up. Maybe it's something that's already there. But
I love there's scientists, and you're like, I heard from Ron Funches.
No, it's the comedians. I was just saying.
Ron is.
I'm just saying. Was joking about the whole like coronavirus thing, and then it came out that 1 in 3 patients started doing this, and now people are stopping testing. I'm like, society is known to rush things, and every time you rush something, it's the same thing. If I was,
how many times have you been tested
for coronavirus?
Yeah,
I was tested once when this thing very first started, and apparently I've either already gotten it or I just can't get it because I've licked every single bit of my hand after touching every door handle trying to get it, and I have not received it.
So legitimately, not being hyperbolic, you don't think so? I'm asking honestly. You've gone out of your way to try to get it, or you haven't really tried to not get it. Which one of those things?
I think it's really I really haven't tried not to get it.
Like, you haven't. Okay, great. So that's a cool, honest answer. Like you don't really change your life. You're doing your thing. You wear a mask in public mostly, or are you a shit face about it?
I have to wear my mask. So yeah, I mean it's not a whole factor. I mean I'm at a gym, so when you're working out, it kind of sucks because you're just sweating and getting nothing but chin acne. But I mean I don't mind it. I'll do it for other people if that's supposed to. But now they're saying that it's airborne, so now they're saying social distancing doesn't even matter. So I'm like, what the fuck? Why? What is the answer? Can we like Sweden's already over this thing? Can we just say like if you get it, you get it, and you got to move on? Trump kicked it in 4 days. He's an overweight 70-year-old. So it's
you think he really had it? I still doubt that he had it. There's part of me that thinks it was like a good plan.
I don't think he talked that much trash and then he got it. I don't think that would be like a publicity stunt. I feel like that would be like a major thing against him. But there was one guy that did that said that he beat it by doing chest exercises. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like the dude that says, every commercial I did 1,000 push-ups. It's like, no, you didn't. You did steroids.
I take a lot of vitamin D because I'm vitamin D deficient. And I keep hearing that if people do get it. Yeah, most people are. Yeah, because we don't get enough sunshine. It's like the Matrix. I heard that clip. I heard that clip where you said you fell asleep when you were a kid watching The Matrix and it effed up your life. I don't want to talk about stuff you talked about in other episodes.
I'm about to say it splits it up. I don't like it.
I know. My experience with that, and I don't even know what movie I could name for you. I'll probably come up with it in a second.
Lord of the Rings, Matrix, and
Lord of the Rings is already nuts. But there's movies that I've fallen asleep during, and then when I watch them, I feel like I'm watching I'm seeing a different part, but it's out of order. So now I'm like, how long is this movie? Like, I feel like this movie is ridiculous because I'm seeing another part of it that I didn't see, but it's clearly after the part I did see. I don't know.
It's like in what do you call it? What's this? Doctor Strange, where they go into the mirror dimension and everything's all flippy. I was like, if I got stuck in that, I'd fucking just sit on the floor and wait for help to come. At that point, I don't even want to try and fight to get out.
So I'm turning this around on you. You're working at a gym. You care about your health like that? You hit the gym? You're a gym guy?
I'm not saying it again because I said I wouldn't say it anymore after the Power Rangers episode.
That's fine. But I'm saying, but you're into it. You're into that. That's your thing. Cool. Do you want
therapy?
That's your therapy. Cool. So you're into that. You mentioned a little bit about acting. So what's the big picture for you, man? You trying to get into this industry?
Nothing, because I look like I tried to gargle 3 golf balls with how fucked up my teeth are. So that's a big no-no.
Teeth can be fixed, man. Teeth can be fixed.
Let me tell you something. When I get medical insurance, I'll do it.
Yeah. Or you could just take a skateboard to the face and then just have to go.
I've just committed to never smiling. And if you get me laugh real hard, I'll smile.
I have one messed up tooth on this side. My teeth are okay. They're not good. I didn't have health care growing up. Like we were poor folk, and I didn't have like dental care until I was like 14.
I mean, I could sign up saying I'm British, and then that would just be fine.
Racist. Okay.
That's not, how is that racist? It's the same thing as like when somebody's Jewish and they say you're being racist against Jews. I'm like, I thought that was a religion. I'm all messed up on the head.
No, I'm just fucking with you. But I do think that so if you got your teeth fixed, you think this is something you want to step into this world? You want to step, because here's the thing. So in the movie
People
we
say I
have
look
this.
like Tom Holland.
Oh wow, yeah, there is a little Tom Holland in there. Yeah, he is, and that's good. You get that baby face thing, which isn't bad. It's not bad for Hollywood.
Dude, I
man.
had my aunt ask my mom if I started doing acting because she saw the flick with Tom Holland. And it's a text. I'll send it to you. And my mom's like, "Oh my God, he looks exactly like you." I was like, "Yeah, it's a big thing. I get probably tweets and Instagram DMs constantly, people calling me Tom Holland." So it's, and actually someone face swapped my face onto Spider-Man when he takes off his mask.
Oh,
I
that's
thought
great.
it was the new Spider-Man video game where they changed his face to look like Tom Holland's. I was like, "Why are you sending me this?" He goes, "Dude, I face swapped you." I go, that no, it's not. And then I looked and I saw the nostril.
Oh,
One of my nostrils is slightly
I can
closed.
see it. Yeah, I saw it when you did that. Yeah.
So I was like, that's the distinct difference between us.
Interesting. You should message him, man, and see if he can get to be.
I told him to grow
double.
a fucking mustache because I obviously can't. That's why I keep the chin hair.
No, but I'm saying you should be his double. That'd be great. The guy you mentioned Heroes. Is that Greg? Oh, this sucks. Is it Grunberg?
Which character do you play?
The heavyset guy.
Oh, you mean the mind reader?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Greg Grunberg.
He's a medium.
I met him at this comic convention last year because he was doing something with my buddy that I mentioned, and he and I look a lot alike. And he was in the most recent Star Wars movies, and I was like, "Yo, man, if you need a body double for that, let me know." And then later that night, we were both going to some after party thing, and the funny part was the party was so loud in this hotel suite that I was knocking on the door for a while and no one was hearing me. So I felt, it's that weird moment where you're like, man, did they invite me to this party as a joke and I just can't get in?
And you're like kind of stepping down the step and then stepping back up the
So I'm knocking
like
on the door, and then this Hollywood dude comes walking down, Greg Grunberg, and he's like, "What's going on, man?" And I go, "I've been banging on the door for a minute, nobody can hear me." And then he goes, "Hold on, I'll call someone who's in there." So he starts making a call, and then they wouldn't answer the phone. He goes, "That's weird." I go, "Yeah, I actually got to tell you the truth, man. There's not a party here. I just set this up so I could beat you up and take your place in Hollywood." I was like, and he just like had that weird moment where he was like, are we doing this?
Yeah, like you don't know. Sometimes somebody might be joking. You start laughing.
I was gonna show girls and just throw him down a flight of steps and take his hat.
I want to be Terry Cruz's body double.
Perfect. You're right. You're on track. Keep hitting the gym.
All right, Law. Look, hey man, is there anything else you want to promote, such as your personal Instagram page?
Oh yeah, man. Everything is Fatal Influence, the movie right now for me. But if you want to check me out, I would say probably not personal Instagram, just because it's like my kid playing hockey. But my name is Law Tarello. Go to lawtarello.com. Check out my reel. Listen, dude, it was real fun talking to you, man. Anytime you want to shoot the shit, let me know. I'll send some more people your way if you want, just that have nothing to do with the movie.
I post every day. I'm always looking for guests.
That's great, dude. I'll let everybody know to come chat it up with you, dude. But yeah, thanks so much. I'll send you the links too. I don't know if you want.
I really want to see yourself. This movie. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, but yeah, definitely check out Fatal Influence, the movie, the website, just to poke around on it. I want your opinion. I don't want everybody's opinion, but I'd like yours. Well, I'll tell you right now, we put the trailer up last night, and I already had one person go, "This movie's so diverse, it's stupid." And I was like, "Oh, I can't help humans.
There's too much diversity.
This movie needs more white guys.
Oh
There's not enough white men in this movie. Not enough white straight men in this movie." Anyway, I appreciate you chatting with me today, man. Let's do it again sometime.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for listening to this episode of Out of the Blank podcast.